Welcome into a Thursday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. Another championship on the shelf, boys.
He's
and
glowing
girls.
this morning. He's radiant.
It was
Post-coital.
never close. Little nervous on Championship Wednesday. Buzzing here on Championship post-game Thursday. Big night for the Bruins. Bigger day for the Jordy Culotta Show. We will talk about Arik Gilbert. A great update from our friend Shay Dixon at Go247. If you have not read it yet, we will update you coming up here over the next 30 minutes. We'll also talk some more LSU football as Brody Miller's got a great write-up over at The Athletic talking about Eli Ricks and Derek Stingley Jr. and just how good those two guys can be when they're on the field together coming up for LSU in the 2021 season. Ben Mintz will stop by at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. Mintz will stop by and talk about what's going on with this gambling stuff in Louisiana and what it means on the Barstool front. As he'll stop by here in a couple of minutes. LSU baseball, what does the future entail? It seems like they're going to get into the postseason. The more people I talked to yesterday,
Strength of schedule.
Strength of schedule. Florida was in this exact position a couple of years ago. 13 conference wins, got knocked out in the first round of the SEC tournament, was a top 3 strength of schedule. They had the number 1 strength of schedule that season. LSU's got the 3rd strength of schedule right now, and they were in. And like Skip Bertman told us in a interview that we'll run later on here today on our YouTube and all on our platforms, is that when LSU is on the fence, they're probably going to get in because of the name recognition and the intrigue that they will bring.
They put butts in the seats.
And they put eyeballs in television. You know what I mean? They bring a cachet to the sport.
That's how it works. That's part of like the vote to get in.
I mean,
Katie,
it's still
that's life.
It's still a television show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At the end of the
Cash
day,
rules everything.
You still have to be able to sell advertisement. You still have to go to major corporations and say people are going to watch this. And when LSU's on the fence and they're left out, you know, high-level executives would have questions on what was the thought process of leaving them out of the field.
Yeah.
Fans seem to hate baseball.
Right.
No. They love it, and if like you said, no matter how much the fan base is upset with LSU baseball, they'll still go and watch.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I mean, you roll
Just
the
hate
ball.
watch it.
You roll the ball out there and they'll watch it. Exactly.
Y'all got games going on over at Alex Box.
Yeah, right. Still hate y'all.
Yeah.
But I'm watching every pitch.
Can't
It
wait
is
to
so
post
hot.
about this later.
They'll tweet about it.
Oh, yeah.
Horrible things.
Horrible
Horrible.
things. And then Neri reads them all.
Yes, he does. He
Hard way
absolutely
to
He
live.
does. He reads them all. He
Not
thinks
Paul
he-
Maneri. I've seen his tiger dropping name. Not Paul Maneri 1.
That's
Maybe. I don't know.
But here's the definitive evidence that people have on that is, for me, it was beat writers for LSU baseball, and Ross Dellinger was the first one that told me that was like, I saw the craziest shit today. And I was like, what is it? He was like, Maneri's press gathering is done in his office. So you just sit across from his desk. He sits at his desk. You put your microphone on the desk. You sit across from his desk, and you ask him questions.
Have you ever asked him a question? He goes on for 25 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, we've had him on here,
Jeez,
right?
dude.
I mean, it just keeps rolling.
great.
Yeah, for what we do, he's fantastic.
Yeah, slow down July.
Yeah, right. It's that drip.
So how about baseball?
But there behind him is like a trophy case.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, essentially, he's got like he's showing off all of his accomplishments, and it opens with, you know, glass casing, and off that glass casing, you can catch the reflection of the computer screen that is sitting on his desk.
Stop.
And Dellinger's like sitting across asking questions for him, and like over his shoulder, he sees the reflection of like tiger droppings open, and like not just the front page, like he's in the message board, bro.
Oh man,
you know what I mean? Like he's in there. He's in the sewage.
Page
I mean, he is
23 of 55.
swimming in the sewer
Sewage.
of LSU fans. The head baseball coach and Maneri's like, Dellinger's like, no way they all. I was like, I can't imagine that any other coach would read that stuff, you know, just because of what the rabbit hole that you could fall down. I mean, once you started doing that, and if you cared about what they said, well, then you're in big trouble, because 65 pages later, they're still talking about you, bro.
It's still
You know
going
what I
on.
mean?
You can wake up in the morning and then check again, be like, they wrote 30 more pages on this.
So
I bet he knows the search bar feature and he just types in his name. What did they say about me today?
Maybe he's got an alert set up. You know what I mean? Like a Google alert.
What if he has? I wonder if he has like an actual account or if he lurks.
I'm telling you.
Because if he had to
it
make
is.
an account, I wonder what he chose.
Not pulmonary one.
Yeah.
I wonder if
I'm
people
gonna
have
make that
seen
my
other
name.
things reflected in the.
What's that?
I wonder if people have seen other things from his computer
That's a
reflected.
very
in the
What's
dangerous
worse to
game.
see?
Yes, I would think
Worse
that would
than tiger
be the
droppings.
most dangerous for Maneri.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that to me would be.
Oh, tiger droppings is funnier than anything else being on that computer screen. Like in
It would
my
be
mind.
tiger droppings, and
Yeah.
another tab would be like the win report.
Yeah.
Exactly. Brian Truard says no chance O knows that what tiger droppings is. Oh, Panamsky's got a. I
Don't you
guarantee
worry
you,
about that.
Panamsky's lurking all over tiger droppings. He's way too worried about what people say about him, not to have an account, and not to know what's going on and what's being said. In fact, Panamsky has texted me threads of the audacity of people questioning him doing his job on tiger dropping. So I know he's out there lurking.
Searching his name.
And absolutely bringing everything back to the desk of Ogeron of what's
All the
being
good things.
said.
He just
Yes,
slides
that's
across.
right.
He's like, oh, that's
That's
all it's
right.
on there. Don't
That's
worry about
right.
it.
Sunshines and
Yes,
rainbows.
man. Yes, man. Yes, man. Yes, man. Yes, man.
Does
The
every
robots
school,
broke.
Does every school have a
Need-
tiger droppings?
Yeah, but not with the power of tiger droppings.
Or
I mean,
toxicity.
tiger droppings is the. It's the,
Why is it
it's the
such a
biggest
beast?
message board in the SEC, and I would say that it's one of the biggest message boards that still exist.
Really?
Yes.
After,
You know what I mean? Like message boards for a while there were very popular.
Yeah, like 2008.
You know what I mean? Yes, very early internet. You know, like right when the internet really became.
I mean, you can
the
tell when you
internet.
go
A lot
on
of
it. It's
people were
nothing
hanging out
flashy.
there.
Yeah. They haven't changed the format in, a decade. It's just.
Why?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Why?
These people just eat here.
If it's not broke, boys,
Yeah.
don't fix it. I mean, that thing is a monster.
It is.
It's a machine.
Have you
After
ever
the
looked
jo-
at other schools?
Yes,
And
they
it's
don't-
not nearly the
it's
same.
not
Really?
nearly as detailed. It's not nearly as in depth. I'm
toxic.
telling
Just
you
active.
that you can go there and find any news you want. Any news you want. And for as much as there are people like Derek Panamsky inside of the LSU football chats, there are political
Ugh.
people that are
God.
inside of the other boards that have real information, though. That's the thing. That if you can sift through the sewage,
There's a lot of people that make fake
there's a lot of
rumors.
people that are well connected and informed that are in there setting the record straight. If you're willing to read,
I can't go down that
no,
one.
I can't.
Well,
but
isn't it supposed to be just sports centered?
No,
No, they have a whole.
They have like a garden section.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you can find everything. I mean, you
Anything.
can go to anything. I've seen tiger droppings, no lie, like referenced on like CBS Evening News.
No way.
You know what I mean? Like a local message board, and they'll like show it like across the top, like banner of tiger. It's just
Little
like
do they know.
the power of this thing, man.
Wow.
It is you do have to sift through it. Like
Yes.
it's what makes it so, I guess, polarizing is because there's real information out there, but you can get burned so fast on that website. I don't trust anything I read on it, but I do like to look
After
at it. just in
Georgia
case.
texts you, get on it.
Yeah, yes. It's
mean-
unbelievable.
But there are connected, informed personnel that are on those message boards that are dropping nuggets and dropping information that you're like,
How do they know that?
That looks very, very correct.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Speaking of, you can get a lot of your Arik Gilbert
That's what happened to
information.
me yesterday. I fell down a little Arik Gilbert rabbit hole. There's one poster on there, and he's saying it with such conviction that he is, because Shea Dixon said he's not in Baton Rouge right now. And this guy's like, I guarantee you he's in Baton Rouge. And I was like, I don't know
How?
why he would say it with such confidence, but that's all he posted. So I believe him.
That was it.
Just
I
'cause he said
guarantee
that,
you.
Yeah, he's like, I could guarantee you he's in Baton Rouge. And he posted
That's
and
it.
left. And everybody's like, sources? Questions? And he's just
Right.
gone.
I mean, but
That's
that's,
how you drop
usually,
it,
that's
dude.
usually how you drop that bomb.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's probably like the LSU tight ends coach.
Yeah,
You know
he's
what
here.
I mean? Like telling you it's just kind of covered up behind some
Panamsky.
fake name. Yeah, that's right. Tiger Ree.
That's him.
That's interesting.
So Ben Mintz will be here in an hour, and we will talk to Mincy about what's going on over at Barstool and the effect of gambling, sports gambling in Louisiana, and the effects and the fallout, and how it affects what he has going on. We will also talk about this, man. We were talking about athletic feats coming up, and this is something that has been kind of buried in our stories over the last couple of weeks, just because there's been so much action happening down here in South Louisiana, covering the Saints, covering the NFL draft, covering LSU, the baseball team, the LSU football program, the moves that Will Wade and the basketball program are making the NBA playoffs. Michael Vick ran a 4.7 at 40 years old.
Unbelievable.
What? That is insane.
What?
I mean, I'm 40. I couldn't imagine getting up and like sprinting for 40 yards.
I don't think people realize how far 40 yards is.
And to do it at a 4.7 rate
clip.
at 40 years old. He ran the exact same 40 time that Mac Jones ran at the Combine a couple of weeks ago. I don't know what's more
20 years
impressive.
older.
I don't know what I'm more impressed with. I'm really not. I don't know if I'm more impressed that Mac Jones looks like that and can run a 4.7 too.
I'm going Mac Jones. He put the natty light down. Like, we're doing this now.
Or that Mike Vick at 40 can roll out of bed and still run. Now, Mike Vick clocked a 4.3.
Okay, I was going to ask what he ran.
4.3
Well,
when
wait,
he was
probably
there.
didn't roll out of bed and do it. Like,
No,
you
he
don't think he's
didn't.
been training for this?
Hell no.
Like every
not
day?
like every
You
day.
don't?
No,
I
no.
guarantee you Vic
Michael
didn't
Vick,
even stretch before that.
No
I
way.
guarantee he's probably stretched, but he didn't train. There's no way
You
he
don't think
trained
he's
for
been
it.
training?
He could
No.
get under a 4.5 if he trained.
If he trained for it and he really was paying attention to it, I agree. I think that he could probably get a 4.5.
Did you see the Vince Carter dunk? He just
Yeah.
casually can still slam it.
He was
at
on
44.
ESPN during the halftime,
Yeah.
and he just picked up a ball and yammed it. Everybody was like, what the hell?
He'll probably be able to jam until he's 60.
He was up there, too,
Yeah, bro.
dude.
Like,
I mean,
head
Vince
still
Carter
up
is
the rim.
one of the athletes we don't talk about of our generation. That's
He
just
made it look too easy.
phenomenal. I mean, just Lord have mercy. Look at this guy. But Vic was too.
Yes.
I mean, Michael Vick was a athlete that I remember the first time I saw him. 1999 National Championship, Mercedes-Benz Superdome, Florida State versus Virginia Tech, where the Hokies and Frank Beamer had no business being in that game, much less being on that field. And the only reason why it was even close, it was a game against Florida State that had, I mean, go down the roster on that Florida State team.
Pros
and the
everywhere.
Everywhere. I mean, that was Bobby Bowden when Bobby Bowden was pumping Florida State into the pros with guys. Travis Minor was the running back on that team for Florida State. He was from Baton Rouge. He was at Catholic High and was the National Player of the Year in 97 and was the starting tailback on that 99 National Championship Florida State team in which they played Michael Vick. And I was able to interview Minor later. He played for the Miami Dolphins and the St. Louis Rams for about 5 or 6 years covering special teams in the NFL. But he stopped by one of our radio shows in New Orleans on a bowl coverage, and we talked to him about that Florida State Virginia Tech game, and all those cats in that Florida State locker room, like halftime and after the game, all they were talking about was Vic. That's all they were talking about. Vic was
Never seen something
he
like
was
that.
a freshman in college, and he was dancing in space of this Florida State defense of like phone booth size. I mean, and he was making people miss. He was spinning on a dime. He was stepping inside and bouncing outside. He was on this turf. He was on the carpet in the Superdome where he was a step and a half faster. I mean, people were like, who in the hell is this guy?
You ever see the highlight? Me and Lloyd watched it. It was against the Vikings where he jukes two people out so hard that they run into each other.
Yeah,
Yes, that's the Minnesota Vikings. That's a first-round playoff game. That, to me, still is one of, if not the, I hate to speak in hyperbole where everything is the greatest or the best thing I've ever seen, especially in this business, because tomorrow you'll see something greater. But that is maybe the single best NFL highlight that you can, if it's not, it is in the discussion or class of a quarterback on a dead sprint, splitting a cornerback and a safety where they make these two guys that are just highly athletic look clumsy and awkward. They run right into each other. They run face first into each other because they both believe 3-4 steps away from him, I'm about to get him.
Sandwich him.
Yeah, I'm about to crush him. I'm about to take his head off. And he just drops it into another gear and splits him. Not only do they not tackle him, they don't touch him. They don't touch him. And then he gets to the end zone and he throws the ball into the upper deck.
and pieces out.
I mean,
straight to
and
the
just
tunnel.
straight
to
into the tunnel. It is,
Thank y'all.
it is one of the best highlights in sports I've ever seen, but just Michael Vick. I mean, we were talking about his time when he came back from Philadelphia.
Oh, dude, 431 game.
Dude, the longevity of his career, because obviously he had the stint in the pen where I'm sure he was all world, like on the playground. If they played a little flag football out there, I'm sure Michael Vick was dicing
Could
him
you
up.
imagine?
Dude.
Still to this day, if he's running a 4.7 right
I'd
now,
say
He was in his prime.
what he would be doing
dog pen.
on a flag football field.
He's my number one pick for flag football team.
No doubt about it.
Yes.
And I don't even know if I'm playing him at quarterback.
Yeah, you could put him anywhere.
I mean, I put him at safety in the slot. You run 4.7? Go. You know what I mean?
But that throwing motion's so good. He
So
played
good.
a little flag football. They did like that professional league, and he lined up at quarterback, just winged it around. Like, this is easy.
He's got that, just that flick.
Yep.
Touch.
Unbelievable.
He has no throwing motion. His arm goes straight above his head, and he just moves his wrist, and the ball is like a laser. I mean, that Monday night throw he made against the Washington football team in his first.
It was the first play of the game.
It was his first action back. Like, everybody was watching him because he had just gotten out. They made the quarterback change. He was at his peak when they took 2 years of his career away from him. And he was guilty of the dogfighting ring, and he paid his time. But after he got out, he came in and made this debut on Monday Night Football where he's got the shield on.
Bro.
He's got the 7 tight.
Did they have the throwback greens that night?
No, that was his first game back. Actually, when Kevin Kolb got hurt, he came in off the bench
That's
as a
right.
replacement.
Where they had the
and
Reggie
they came
White.
in the Kelly Greens.
He had the Reggie White.
and he starts
Eagles
running
on.
around against the Packers, and then Andy Reid's like, "Holy shit, dude! I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to start Vick."
Yeah, we got to start him.
He's incredible.
We gotta
Dude,
start him.
Dude, he comes back in that Monday night game, and it's his first
Start.
Is Vick back? Is Michael Vick good again?
We got another $100 million contract.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So
Put
he
up
comes
45
in.
fantasy points or something like
Yeah,
that.
dude,
that
it
night.
was his first game back, first play of the game. Probably throws it 70 yards in the air to Deshaun Jackson and Laurent Landry.
Was that Laurent?
They were just
Yeah.
talking shit to each
Yeah.
other in the pregame. Deshaun burns him, turns around, and high steps into the end zone. I was watching the game in a media law class at LSU. It was a night class. 7 o'clock, that's when class starts. That's when the game starts. I bring my laptop like I'm taking notes. No shot. Like, I just have Monday Night Football pulled up. I look behind me. There's 3 sets of heads, like, all looking at my screens like, dude, chill out.
Yeah,
But
right.
first play of the game, I had Michael Vick as my fantasy quarterback. 70-yard bomb. I'm like, let's go. And the teacher's like, you got to be kidding me. Are you serious?
I mean, it
Sorry,
was.
Did you see that,
Yeah.
bro?
He drops it. I mean,
In the
Laurent's
bucket.
hand. I mean, he drops it right over the bucket, and people are like, "Holy shit!"
So why are y'all surprised then at this? You've just
He's
painted
40
him as a
years
super...
old. I mean,
so's Tom
still-
Brady. I mean, I
Yeah,
feel
but
like y'all act like
Brady
when you
can't
hit
run a
40, like you
4.7.
can't do anything, and you can if you're training every day like they are.
I don't
Yeah.
think
I mean,
Vick's training.
He's not
that
training.
much.
But he's got to be in great shape, and he's a superhuman athlete.
Yeah,
so
he's
this
had-
is not
He's
that
an athlete.
surprising.
He's not
to
letting
me.
himself fall out of shape, but he's
Right.
not paying attention to his shape to make sure that he keeps his 40 time down. And I think running a 4.7 at 40 years old is
It's great, but you can
as
do it.
impressive of what is what Tom Brady's doing. I mean, I think, like Tom Brady's doing it at a different level, but from a physical feat, that is as impressive of what, Brady's doing. I mean,
Yeah.
I just think it's incredible that guy can still move like that. I mean, they said that Terrell Davis got clocked with Michael Vick in that same time, and he ran a 5 flat at 42 years old. But
Vick must have blew him away.
it's comped at the Terrell Owens, who clocked a 4.4 in a handheld time at 40 years old.
46. No, 46. 46 years old. Yes.
Terrell Owens.
He's 46.
Yes.
Wow.
He's 46 right now.
Last summer when 46-year-old ran a 4.4, so he was 45
Yeah,
when he did it.
but they stopped. They went back and frame by framed it. They clocked it out at a 4.9.
Still.
Yeah, but still, very much. I mean, these guys are just world-class athletes. And for somebody like my generation, my age of sports fan, Michael Vick, I first saw Michael Vick when I was 18 years old. That night that he was playing Florida State, I was a senior in high school. And, me and my partners, we were down there. We were in New Orleans for that game. It was right around New Year's. We were celebrating New Year's during that time. And, I mean, we just watching the game, and people were like, who is this guy? Who is this cat?
Because, dude, he had no clue what he was doing out there. It was just hike the ball to Vick and let him cook. Like, he didn't, there's no game plan when you're on offense because he didn't know the playbook. Dude, he's a freshman. And if you start running around out there and making plays like that, why learn it? I'm just going to do this every time.
No.
And he absolutely cooked.
That was like me watching Johnny Manziel at like 13. I was like, oh, who is this guy?
Right.
He's unreal.
Yeah, just no game plan.
Exactly. Backyard.
And
Is
that's why
Michael
Nick
Vick
Saban
the
hated
guy
him.
that did the dog fighting?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
I
sad.
mean, he lost.
Everything.
He was in his prime.
Yeah.
I mean, he was
First $100 million contract ever in the NFL, I think.
Yep.
Madden 05.
And then got it back. I think
Before.
got another $100 million contract, just to give you an idea of how good he was, man.
Generational athlete. Probably
Yes.
Mount Rushmore of all-time athletes.
100%, I agree with that. Any sport.
Any sport.
Any sport.
Probably can drop some buckets.
Probably drop buckets and probably could cover a lot of field in center field.
We got drafted to play Major League Baseball out of high school, and he hadn't played baseball since
did?
7th grade.
What?
What?
The
No
Rockies
way.
drafted him, yeah.
Gives you an idea. I mean, you know,
You're
what I mean?
Take a
kidding.
Just
shot
draft
at him
him.
and see what happens.
Just draft him. Let's see what happens.
Make Bobby Bowden sweat a little bit. or Frank Beamer, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right. Daily, we are brought to you by Metropolitan Health Group. Remember, Real Doctors, Real Solutions, offered up by Jason Ramazan and Dr. Charlie, not Doctor, and Charlie
not?
Harvey. Yeah,
Why
why not? Real Doctors, Real Solutions with Charlie Harvey and Jason Ramazan. Get over to Metropolitan Health Group as they can help you out today, and they will. Anybody that comes on the phone lines is compliments of Metropolitan Health Group, like Ben Mintz coming up here at 8 a.m. We are driven and powered by Go Chevrolet every single day. Remember, Go is easily, you can find them down in Laplace, Louisiana, where they got a brand new car lot down there in Laplace. And they've got a used car lot here on the corner of Sherwood Forest and Florida Boulevard, where if you shop the inventory down in Laplace at Go Chevrolet, they can get the inventory to you here in Baton Rouge over at Go Express Auto Sales. So remember, they can get the vehicle to you if you're shopping here in the Baton Rouge area. A great update from our friend Shay Dixon yesterday, as on his site, he gave really the overall perspective of where Arik Gilbert stands right now and his status with LSU football. And there is a lot of curiosity on Gilbert because of the type of player and the player that he is, right? 2 years ago in a recruiting cycle, he is the #1 player in the country. He is recognized by Gatorade as the National High School Player of the Year, the male high school player of the year. Paige Decker, the UConn standout, was the female.
I mean, that's very deserved. What a call there. She's unbelievable.
It was in that same class, and Gilbert is now obviously in and out of LSU, transfers to Florida, leaves Florida, wonders where he is now in the transfer portal, and there's a great update from Shay Dixon over at 247. On the first update is whether or not he's in Baton Rouge. Shay says he's not right now, not at the moment. He took time away from the spring, which brought him back to Georgia. LSU is in constant contact with Gilbert and working with his family to see when the return date will be. Is LSU in talks with Gilbert? From Shay, yes, every single day. They've been working with him and his family throughout the spring and into the start of the summer, getting things planned out, ironed out, and figuring out where the communication is right now. From an academic standpoint, this is the key part for Arik Gilbert. This is the key to him getting back on the football field and getting everything back to a normal status for him as a student athlete. And LSU and the university have worked with Gilbert to get things set up. And Shay has got really good sources on this that says all he needs is 6 hours of work.
Oh.
So that's 2 classes this summer.
Give him 2 leadership classes. He's fine.
I mean, this is easy, right? I mean, they've done this a million times. By the fall...
They have, like, online classes, too, I'd imagine,
For
so he doesn't
sure.
have to be in Baton Rouge.
Absolutely. I
They
mean,
don't
just-
even do the work.
Breaking news.
Yeah, right. Hey, Jack, easy, bro. Not all the info. The first summer session is started.
Tiger job.
We're gonna get some calls after this.
The first summer session
tell 'em you're major.
is starting now. The second summer session begins on July 5th. As long as things are completed before August, when grades are final, at the end of the second session, he'll be on track. He can obviously take all of these classes from home with the capability of mobile teaching and everything that they've gone through with the Zooms and over the last couple of semesters or the last
tutors,
semester.
Jack.
Yes.
They're
Yes, that's right.
assigned.
What happens with Major Burns signing to the class? That was obviously the 25th scholarship to this class. It means nothing on Gilbert's status. Gilbert obviously has already his scholarship that just counts towards the 85. LSU is under the 85, so he's got a spot on the roster, and he would always have a spot, but just as far as that, nothing has to be moved for him to be in the program. He's got a spot. It's all good. And
Arik Gilbert, as you're talking about Arik Gilbert or Major Burns?
No, I'm talking about Arik Gilbert, but
he's still under scholarship.
I'm talking about what the impact of bringing in Major Burns means for adding another player to the roster, and it means nothing.
Right.
Because they're under the 85 limit, and Gilbert already counted towards that 85. He doesn't count towards this recruiting class. Gilbert does. Major Burns does, and he was the 25th of that class. But Gilbert is not. He's a part of the 85.
And it goes to show how much LSU kind of always had a finger on the pulse of what Arik Gilbert was trying to do, because they kept him on scholarship. Like, they would have been easy just to pull the scholarship and then give it somewhere else, but they kept the idea of him returning to LSU alive with keeping him on scholarship.
Well, they always knew.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was because we didn't know, but it felt like with that news that it's like, all right, maybe we're okay here.
Yes, this thing was much more personal than it was football.
Yes.
I mean, a lot more personal than it was football. So, all of the trainers, all of the personnel that oversee this stuff at LSU have had their they've had their hand on this thing. They've had control over this thing and understood the full scenario of it. Now, it was very topsy-turvy for a while, and there was a lot of things that were happening with this situation where LSU was really trying to get a grasp of it, and finally seemed like they do. It finally seems like everybody's on the same page. Everybody has the common goal of getting Gilbert first personally right, taking care of any mental issues that he was dealing with. Secondly, get him academically up, moving, qualified, and in the right direction. And then third, getting back on the football field. And once all of those things take place, which the wheels are in motion, from what I've been told and from the read and the write-up that we catch from Shea over the last 24 hours, the wheels are moving in that direction to get his status back in good standing with both the university, the football program, and have his life pointed in the right direction. There's a lot of people that are pulling for Arik Gilbert outside of the fan base, right? I mean, everybody that's listening to this show, obviously we pull for him personally, but our invested interest, your invested interest, is you want him to help LSU's football program, which he can tremendously once he's mentally right, once he's academically restored, and, once he's back into playing confident football. I mean, he is a game-breaking player, but you got to get everything right around him first, and I think that's the process that's happening right now.
People forget how messed up the fall was with COVID. I mean, that's the first time he left home. It was for football, it was very robotic. Because wake up, football, don't talk to anybody because of COVID.
Go back to the dorm room.
Yeah, it was like prison.
But we've been asking the question here of, who's the number 2 guy on the offense behind Keyshawn Butte? I mean, if Arik Gilbert comes in, does he not fill that spot immediately? That answers that
Still
question.
have him block.
Immediately. No, you don't. But you get him. You got to realize, Arik Gilbert, when he came to LSU and when he was being recruited by LSU, he was watching Joe Brady call plays for Jamar Chase, Thaddeus Moss, Justin Jefferson, Terrace Marshall, and Joe Burrow. That will stargaze a kid that wants to go into an offense that is dynamic and setting records. Between the time that he commits and gets on campus, there's an enormous overhaul of personnel from the brain trust of what was happening in 2019. You go backwards. You go back to a guy like Scott Linehan that feels a lot like what Les Miles and Cam Cameron were doing more than what Joe Brady and Steve Ensminger were doing.
He was trying to use him like Jason Witten.
Not only that, you bring in Gilbert to a Auburn game earlier that year, a Florida game earlier that season where the place is on springs, Tiger Stadium is electric. Death Valley is the magic and mystique of Tiger Stadium. Then he gets here and no fans are allowed. And you can't leave your dorm room. And you can't go to Tigerland. And you can't go experience all that stuff that when he got down here, and he's not the only one. He's not the only guy that happened to. There was 25, 24 other guys in that recruiting class that saw a lot of the same things. But for a guy like Gilbert, who was a long way from home, had a background of dealing with some mental stuff that he had been battling coming from high school into a brand new environment, into some things that he expected that didn't work out. It was a shocking first year for him in which he probably would want to handle a little bit better personally, but there's some things that he had to get right. You know what I mean? And I think once this all comes to pass, once this all kind of goes and clears, the smoke clears, LSU will be sitting in a really good spot because of the support that they've showed him. There's been a lot of, I've seen some of the talking, why would LSU take him back? He quit on the team. He left in the middle of the season. You don't know what you're talking about. You got no idea what you're talking about in the sense of, yeah, just from the black and white issue of what's going on, he did leave the team, but there were some circumstances that we had no idea about.
Yeah.
And that from a program and a university standpoint, what's it really about?
The kid's 18.
He's 18 years old.
Man.
He needs support. You have the resources, the financial means, and the program to allow that to happen. Put him in the best place to be successful, personally, first. And once you get that person right, you get the payback of the football player. You know what I mean? LSU sees what they get out of it. They understand that there is a piece for them that, will benefit them. But I think there's also a human element to this story that, hey, look, LSU needs to do their part to make sure that they are supporting this student athlete as he goes through a lot of stuff that we don't understand.
It would be a really good look for LSU.
There's an avenue to fix. It's just everything just seems so dirty when you look at that complex with Title IX and everything like that. And I don't know if Gilbert wants to use what was going on as a platform, but does give you an avenue. Like, we care about our players, and just such a masculine game of football. How dirty college football is. At least be like, we care about your mental health. You're not cattle to us. We actually think of you as a grown man and love you and.
Yeah, want to see your future kind of play out the way it's supposed to, because, I mean, if everything goes the way it should, he's the first-round NFL draft pick.
For sure. For sure.
Is it his choice to stay here or go?
Yes, at this point it would be.
It's totally up to him.
I don't know who the ultimate decision-maker is on this, but I imagine that he has the majority of it. His mom is very influential in what is going on with him, obviously, his parents, his family. He's got a younger brother that is with him and has been with him both on campus and through the transfer. So, I mean, there's a family element to this, but, the part that we very much didn't hide, but, still right now I feel a little awkward and uncomfortable talking about this because I don't want to not necessarily say something that's not right, but the kid was dealing with mental issues. He was dealing with mental issues that I don't understand, that you don't understand. It's very personal to him. And there's some things that were happening that the fan base didn't see. And that really and truly people that cover the program didn't see immediately. You had to do some digging and asking and figuring out and, come to find out. It wasn't just that he wasn't playing in an offense that he expected to play in. I mean, it was a lot more than that.
But when O said his body's sore, like, what
That's
did
what I
that
was just
do
about to
good
ask.
for
Was
the
he
kid?
covering for him?
That's
Like
the
he was
worst thing he
covering
could
for
have
the
done.
mental health part of it?
Like,
by saying that?
guys could have said there's personal stuff or family stuff.
I think, LSU immediately wanted to maybe, I don't know. Maybe they wanted to try to find the positive story for them. They didn't want to be going through a season that they were going through as the defending national champ. You get the number one tight end and recruit in the country, and halfway through the season, he wants out. I think LSU publicly was trying to sell that for the stability of recruiting, the stability of the message that, hey, it's not as bad as it looks.
It's not a dumpster fire.
Right. When, in all reality, that stuff came out, and it was a dumpster fire. But by all accounts, it seems like it's been put back on the rail, or the ship has been turned back into the right direction. And that's very much a compliment to Orgeron, even through his public relations disasters over the last calendar year. And there have been a couple, both for him personally and publicly, whether it be admitting to not interviewing coordinators that come into your program, or allowing his personal life to become the butt of jokes throughout the conference and throughout the community. Mm-hmm. There has been examples over the last year of just missteps of public relations from Ed Orgeron. And I think some of what the communication was on Arik Gilbert was probably a little bit of that. But just recognizing what it is and people understanding that, look, he was dealing with some personal stuff. He's a great football player, but from LSU standpoint, they want to make sure that he gets right personally, academically, and then you get the football player in return. That's a win-win for everybody. That's the best case scenario, in my opinion. I mean, for him to go somewhere else, start over, have to get into a program and get the people around him that, can point him in the right direction, build those relationships, that trust that it seems like he's already has developed with some certain people down here in Baton Rouge, put him in that environment and just let him fly.
Was he? No, he wasn't here. He wasn't on campus in the spring because he transferred. I mean, even from March to now, the campus is a complete 180 from what he saw when he was playing here before Florida to now. That's like a 720. So, I mean, they can pitch it.
Yeah, the environment's
this was
back.
not like
Yes.
This is not what college is supposed to be.
I couldn't imagine going to that Florida game and seeing that place rocking like that, then going to your first game in Tiger Stadium and there's not a single person in the stands. Like, this is some JV bullshit.
This is
dude.
not what I
It's
signed
not
up
what I
for.
signed up
All those
for.
promises
This is not what I
you
signed
got.
up. And you got me blocking?
Yeah, now I'm running
And
running
you,
into
you,
people.
You
I
told
should
me I was going to be a quasi-wide receiver.
Yeah, I was going to be 8 to 10 catches a game
You
with
know
a
what I
couple
mean?
tutties.
There wasn't a lot of stuff that was adding up early on. And with time to reevaluate and kind of, recalibrate, I think this is a win-win situation for everybody. And I'm not pressing Arik Gilbert, the football player. I think whenever the time is right for him to get on the field, everybody will make that choice. But if they take care of the stuff on the front end and get him right personally and get him into a mental space where he feels confident and comfortable being around his teammates in football and can get right academically, he's going to be great.
The football's the easy part.
He's going to be great. He is going to be phenomenal once those things get right. And wouldn't you rather him do that in purple and gold than red and black or orange and blue or crimson and white?
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
You said enough.
I mean, all that
Face
stuff.
that monster two more times in this year.
I'm good.
Jesus.
Go
I was
ahead,
gonna
go
say,
ahead.
if he comes back to LSU, they have the win total set at 8.5. Vegas does 8.5 wins on the year. I mean, are they setting that with Arik Gilbert in mind? Because I would say not. If he comes back, I'm smashing that over.
I don't know. I think that everybody is making plans and setting spreads and over and unders with the anticipation of Arik Gilbert not being around right now. So if LSU was to be able to get him back, would be gravy.
Yeah, they would take that line off the board.
Absolutely. But I still like the over of 8.5 right now,
too.
with or without him.
I think 9 wins is the floor.
9 feels about the floor. 9 feels when you check the box.
For me.
Huh? Yes, that's what we
New Year's
said
Six.
yesterday.
Yes.
That's what we were talking about yesterday. This team has a New Year's 6 bowl roster.
The stink is going away. The stock is going up.
It absolutely is.
Yeah, well, you got everybody out of here. You had to make major changes and overhaul, and it also helps. Like, sorry, Bo Pelini, thanks for what you did a million years ago, but I mean, he was absolutely enemy number one, and just to be able to ship him out of town already makes the aroma around the program better.
It does.
Because they had a fall guy.
But don't think from an executive level that is not a stench coming out of Orgeron's office.
That was his move.
More of a money stench now from the private money people of LSU football. You've gone and knocked on their door for $3 million to buy out Matt Canada, and you've done the same thing to buy out Bo Pelini, both of which were sold Whether or not it was not internal, I don't know, but both were sold as his guys. And at the end of now the evaluation of what has happened since then, it's his mistakes. And that runs and burns up equity pretty quick with the private donors and the alumni base that you have to make sure that you're financially stable from a competitive standpoint in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have those trusting. That's where Les Miles fell out at the end. The money just dried up on Les. People said, as long as he's there, I'm not cutting a check. So you guys make up your mind. You keep that goober, I'm not donating.
Yeah, I'm saving all my money for when y'all want to pay out the buyout.
Exactly.
Then I'll cut the check.
Exactly.
How lonely is that walk down the hallway to be like, hey, guys, I got to have a talk with y'all. I need $3 million for my, essentially my mistake. Like,
it's a bad
I'm
phone
sure
call.
that knock on the door or whatever, they're like, yeah, come on in, dude. I know why
It's
you're
a
here.
bad phone call.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hey, guys, you mind if we come up to Shreveport and see you today? You're not coming to tell me Merry Christmas.
Yeah,
I know that.
Good news.
You know what I mean? You want to fly
kids.
up for a face-to-face? Should we get the checkbook ready?
God.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's a weird phone call. Brody Miller's got a great write-up over at The Athletic on Derek Stingley Jr. and Eli Ricks. Pro Football Focus has those guys ranked first and third, respectively, of cornerbacks coming back for the 2021 college football season. We'll ask Miller his thoughts on Arik Gilbert. We'll also get a couple of storylines for the offseason. We're going to talk to Ben Mintz coming up here at 8 a.m. Don't forget, daily over here at the Jordy Culotta Show, we are brought to you by Elevate Treatment and Legacy Center, located right here in Baton Rouge off of Jefferson Highway, can help you with drug and alcohol rehab right here in the capital city. Elevate is dedicated to treating patients who are battling drug and alcohol addiction. The goal over at Elevate is to guide you in your steps towards recovery and help you achieve and maintain sobriety. Online, ELEV, the number 8, treatment.com. You can begin that treatment online at Elevate Treatment, elevatetreatment.com. Brody Miller when we come back here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Are you self-employed? Then you need to learn about Angel Oak's Home Loans Bank Statement program that they're offering, which makes you eligible as a self-employed borrower to purchase or refinance a home without requiring a tax return. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Email me, jordy@jordyculotta.show.com, to learn about the bank statement loan program offered by Angel Oak. jordy@jordyculotta.show.com to learn more. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Hebert over at Hebert's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022. 225-485-8022 is where you can find Hebert's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in LaPlace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Are you self-employed? Then you need to learn about Angel Oak's Home Loans Bank Statement program that they're offering, which makes you eligible as a self-employed borrower to purchase or refinance a home without requiring a tax return. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Email me, jordy@jordyculotta.show.com, to learn about the bank statement loan program offered by Angel Oak. jordy@jordyculotta.show.com to learn more. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Hebert over at Hebert's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022. 225-485-8022 is where you can find Hebert's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location.
Well, folks, it's time to kick it old school. So you can feel cool. Give it to me, baby. Baby. Yeah.
Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered every day by Go Chevrolet. Check out the crew online at GEAUXchevrolet.com. We were talking to Arik Gilbert in our last segment, and we also mentioned the write-up over at The Athletic this morning that was published just about 45 minutes ago, talking about the impact of Derek Stingley Jr. and Eli Ricks from just how good these guys could be going into the season. As we told you, Pro Football Focus has them ranked first and third, respectively, going into the season. Brody Miller and Jason Starrett have a excellent read if you're just looking for football facts. If you want to just dive into a football-heavy read of how good Stingley and Ricks are and what they mean to LSU's defense, I would advise you of getting over to The Athletic this morning and checking out the latest from Brody Miller. Lucky enough, we have a chance to dial him up this morning and catch up with him here on another week of the Jordy Culotta Show. Brody Miller, thank you for the time. Good morning, and thank you for the time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me as always.
Yes, still buzzing after last night's flag football championship.
What's that in The Athletic, dude?
That's right. We're still waiting on the feature story on the Baton Rouge Bruins. How good is Stingley perceived to be going into his money year of college football? This is the year, we were talking to his dad a couple of weeks back, Brody. I mean, this is the year ultimately they've talked their entire life about.
No, it's a great point. I mean, in terms of perception, yeah, I think of course there's going to be people kind of slightly wanting to see another great year, considering, he's banged up last year and whatnot. But of course, he is, I mean, you look at the Athletic, Dave Brugler's, pre-draft stuff, and you look at ESPN, he is a consensus. Maybe, the quarterbacks will end up going higher, sure, but if you're looking at just overall prospects, he's one or two with Kayshon Thibodeau, you would assume. And, I mean, you've heard the same stories as me. I know that, I remember hearing in fall camp of his freshman year that an NFL GM, told an LSU staffer that Derek Stingley, before he even had played a college game, would go first round for them. Like, that is just how, and a lot of credit to Derek Stingley Sr. there, just how ready this guy was. And my term I always call him is he's a football robot. And he is in good ways, in 99% good ways. He is a physical freak who thinks like a robot in terms of just high football IQ prepared. And yeah, his freshman film was as good as any, and his sophomore, by the way, wasn't bad. It was just banged up. Right. So yeah, I think there is just that. I don't think he has to do anything that changes anyone's mind. He just has to go out for one more year improve just the absurd talent that we saw.
I still remember Dave Aranda talking about the Fiesta Bowl preparation in which Stingley became eligible and was working out with them, and he called him at that time the best cornerback on that team and best defensive player. I mean, it was just the compliments that he was shown early on.
Didn't Coach Jones say he would play if he
absolutely.
could? Yes.
100%. I mean, they were shorthanded that day as well. So how good is Rick's?
Yeah, it's, you know, and I want to say this, but it's something I just find really interesting. It's not even that it matters. It's the idea that, I mean, there's this weird trend going on the last like 5 years at LSU, right? Where there's always a big name corner going into the season who has all the attention, and like the other guy has the technically bigger year, right? Where it's like Greedy Williams has, 6 picks, and when Dante Jackson's the bigger name, and then Greedy's the big name, and then Fulton has the better year, and then Fulton's the big name, and then Stingley becomes an All-American, and Stingley's the big name, and then Ricks has become an All-American. And this is kind of like the one year where they actually have both together at the same time. They're both coming back experienced and theoretically healthy, and I think that's going to be a really big thing. That there's, yeah, sure, I guess the middle of the field needs to get ironed out, but there's no target corner really, which I think is a big thing. But yeah, Ricks is obviously his interceptions that can jump out. 4 picks, 2 for pick sixes, and all of that. And I'm sure we'll get to some of these things later. But I mean, some of his stats in man coverage are just kind of silly. Where it's like he had more interceptions in man coverage than completions allowed in man coverage. It was 4. I mean, that's silly. He didn't have a single pass interference allowed in man coverage. And by the way, I get better pressure against zone. And college football setting says, yeah, if you have your outside corners locked up, that means you need less help in pass coverage, and you can send more guys pass rush. So, I mean, some of this stuff is obvious, but still, yeah, Ricks is a guy, and he still looked raw as a freshman. Mm-hmm. So I think he's a guy who is only going to get better, and with a healthier Stingley, it's just going to make everyone better.
Do we expect the addition of Daronte Jones, an NFL defensive backs coach, coming in now as the coordinator to LSU, to significantly improve these guys' play?
Of course, I mean, I think it's a fair thought. My only counter, and it's not an argument, is that, in terms of just cornerback coaching, they pretty much already have one, right? In Corey Raymond,
yeah.
That is good as developing as anybody. But I think what Daronte Jones is going to really, just the buzz that you hear and just the expectation from me is, I think what he's going to really improve is just that overall stability, communication, confidence in the back end. And communication, of course, has been the buzzword. But I think the whole secondary cohesively is going to look better as a unit, and that is going to make everyone look better. It's going to make everyone feel better, and I think that's going to be big because it's funny how, I mean, it's weird how I'm talking about a lot of these positive stats from last year, right? But the defense was a disaster. But outside wasn't. Outside, those corners, when they were together, were fine. They really weren't a major problem. I mean, shoot, I even point to that one stat when they were on the field together. I think that the average depth of throw went down a whole 3 yards, which is just massive. They went from 10.6 to 7.6. So that part was always fine, and that's what made problems so jarring, is that you have these two guys and you're still getting torched downfield on some of these throws and all that. So I think what Jones is going to do is lead to less of those coverage busts, lead to improved safety play overall, lead to everyone just knowing what they're doing a little bit more. I think I've said in your show like 3 times already, I don't know what kind of schematic genius Jones is going to be. I have no idea, but I do think there's just going to be an improved confidence and stability back there, and that's going to make everyone better, because if you can just stop those coverage busts, that secondary is as good as any.
Where does Cordero Flott fit in this situation? A lot of people are very high on him. The year before the Alabama tape, everyone was so ecstatic for him. And it was kind of disappointing. Do you think he has a comeback season?
Yeah, you have to at least wonder if he is, and I hate lazily throwing too much on Pelini, but you almost do wonder if he is one of those casualties of just looking extra bad last year in defense system and whatnot. Yeah, I think one year you'd assume he's pretty much penciled in as the starting nickel right now, and he is a good coverage corner. And he's also one of those guys who, I don't have stats in front of me, but those last few games of the year, we always talk about Jay Ward stepping up those last few games, but I remember Cordell Flott making some plays those last few games and looking a little more aggressive and stuff. But yeah, I think you'll see an improvement. I mean, his 2019 season, like you said, I remember Dave Aranda at one point, he had told the broadcast team, and they mentioned it on the game, that basically there was a point in the season where they graded Flott as their best coverage corner. A team with Fulton and Stingley and all those guys. So I think he's a great coverage corner player. I know Derek Stingley Sr. speaks really highly of him, and I do think you'll see an improved year. He's one of those guys that I don't know what his ceiling is. I don't think he's a Stingley or a Ricks or anything, but I think he's a very solid nickel corner.
Obviously, with the coverage bust last year, a lot of it fell on who played. It seemed to almost go all the way to the back end to who played safety. And, because you have the corners there that you just talked about that are absolutely locked down. Is the move for Jay Ward to go to safety to shore things up, along with the addition of Todd Harris to kind of be the signal caller back there and, I guess like a field general?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption. Keep beating a dead horse. Yeah, it's just anyone you talk to in that building, it's just the common theme, and this was during the season, even before Pelini was out, there was just Pelini's scheme required a little bit more on the safeties, but then safeties would just mess up so much, and so then the corners would actually look like they're giving, there were so many plays where it looked like Jay Ward gave up a 50-yard touchdown at corner, and then you talk to somebody in the building and they're like, no, he was just chasing down because the safety just didn't get the guy he was supposed to. And it just happens so often. So I do think Mo Hampton's gone. Jacoby Stevens is gone. I know Todd Harris is back, but, he was off and on banged up. And I think, it's basically an entirely new group back there. And I think Jay Ward just adds a level of stability, adds a level of just playmaking savvy and kind of ranginess that I don't think they had last year, quite frankly. I think he, obviously he's a corner, so he has those skills, but he has this kind of, I refuse to use any honey badger words because in no world am I putting that same realm of a player, but that same kind of hoppiness that I like, that I don't know, that ranginess that I like a lot. He has that a little bit, and I don't know what to expect from Harris. I still have to sit there with the prove it to me thing with him, but the idea that Harris is your safety option is pretty nice because then, you have safety knowing, oh, maybe Sage Ryan will earn that job, or maybe Derek Davis does it, maybe Jordan Coles does, or Major Burns. But the idea that, Harris is the boring option to get to your point with Ward is, I think, a victory that you can mix the stability with, maybe one of those high upside guys can feel.
Brody Miller, author over at The Athletic, with a great piece that was published this morning detailing Derek Stingley Jr. and Eli Ricks' impact on the LSU defense. If you are not subscribed to The Athletic, I urge you to get over there and get your subscription for the offseason.
Go do it.
And heading into the football season, at least follow Brody Miller on Twitter if you're not already doing that for LSU coverage, at Brody A. Miller. You were on Shay's information yesterday. We talked a little bit about it before we had you on the latest of Arik Gilbert. It seems like things are trending in the direction of getting the big tight end back into the program and back in school.
Yeah, it's the thing that I think we've all, and you have, we've all been hearing it. We've all been kind of hinting at it. So I just want to go as far as confirming Shay's report and your reporting. But yeah, it's all true, right? But yeah, it looks like Arik Gilbert is in pretty far along talks with LSU, and a lot of now it just seems like it is semantics. It's getting that coursework done, and 6 hours is the word we're all hearing. 2 classes worth of coursework. That seems pretty achievable in the next few months, and that's just huge. It changes the outlook of a team right there in some ways, right? Where it's like, hey, you have one area you're kind of worried about at tight end that's a quote unquote weakness, and all of a sudden you're adding one of the most talented players in college football to that. It's you can't really put your finger on that, and just think about how much easier life gets for Max Johnson or Miles Brennan to know that you have Kayshon Boutte and Arik Gilbert there. So I think it's just crazy. But anyway, sorry, to your point, it really does seem like it's coming together. And obviously there's a lot you got to worry about there. You do have to get the academics straight and make sure they stay straight. You do have to just, some general off the field things and just kind of keep a stable environment there. And I think there's a lot that LSU has to achieve, but that anyone would have had to achieve. And I think stability is what Arik Gilbert needs, though. So if they can get that for him, great. He's as talented of a kid as you're going to see.
I want to go back to Derek Stingley Jr. just for a second, because I don't think there's ever been, I don't want to speak in hyperbole like this, but I don't think there's ever been a marriage of the intelligence and ball skills and the absolute, freak athleticism that he possesses. What's his comp at the next level? Has there ever been a corner really with that set of skills?
Oh, man, that is a great question. It's almost one that Jordy might answer better. But, because there's not many things like him. He's just you're saying he's that mental with the physical. I remember when he was 17 years old, interviewing him at his house for an hour or two, and it was like talking about his ability, and then like someone made a Deion Sanders comp at some point, and then he like corrected me, and he's like, no, I think a little bit more analytically about the position in Sanders, and I'm like, you were not a normal 17-year-old. But Jordy, if you have a comp, jump in. I'm trying to think of a perfect one here.
I think Gilmore at New England.
Ooh, I like that. Higher upside Gilmore, maybe.
Yes, I mean, just when his body style, he's differently built.
He's thick.
He is. He's athletic. I mean, he's just not like a lot of those guys at that
young
position.
Patrick Peterson.
I even think that Peterson's
He's more polished than Patrick was,
and he's a little bit more twitchy.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
What about like a longer Revis?
Yes.
Ooh.
You know, Revis is somebody that jumps to mind just because of the technique.
Right.
I mean, when you hear people break down Stingley Jr.'s technique, that baffles football minds of how great and how precise he is with like shoulder placement and inside foot stuff, things that you and I don't even can even fathom of looking for or looking at when we watch the game, and just how detailed he is. But I've heard people talk about Gilmore as being a fair comp just because of the length, the athleticism, and the ball skills.
I mean,
if the ball's in the air, it's Stingley's.
Just go watch Auburn first half before the half. That tell you everything you need to know about his ball skills.
Really and truly, the 8.5 over under Vegas put out on LSU. If you were at the window, which way you going?
I mean, this is not me being like an LSU beat reporter. Like, it's just, I mean, that just seems like an actual common sense over to me because the baseline for a lot of people in a lot of ways is 9-3. They're more talented, and then just from a pure, even if you don't want that high on LSU, just from a schedule breakdown point of view, and that's really what these over-unders are always really about, is schedule breakdowns. And yeah, I mean, you have, maybe factor in a lost Alabama, but Auburn and Florida, you expect to take a step down, and they're both at home. So LSU, you would think, are like a 4 to 7 point favorite in those games. Yeah, A&M's a toss-up, sure. So maybe if you want to count that as a loss, it's 10-2. But in theory, LSU should be favored in the other 10 games this season. Yeah, maybe bake in another loss, but 9-3 is the baseline, I think, of expectations. So I just think that's a no-brainer over for me.
Yes, it feels very comfortable at 9-3. Feels like the comfort spot. Brody, did you ever get to a point, and this is our last one, we'll get you out of here. Thank you very much, as always, for your time. Make sure you get over to The Athletic and read the latest write-up from Brody on Derek Stingley Jr. and Eli Ricks. You people know that, you LSU fans know that you've got two great lockdown corners, but if you want to look at the numbers and the impact of what they really mean on the defensive side of the ball, you got to read this piece, the latest from Miller. Did you ever think that you would see a day, and full disclosure, you are an Indiana alum and an Indiana diehard. Did you ever think that you would see a day where the head football coach at Indiana is making more than the basketball coach?
No, there's absolutely no human possible way I ever would have expected that. It's I always put this people because Indiana football fandom was always like a sarcastic thing. I'm trying, like, there's not many other sports comps to that where it's like it's not like, oh, I'm negative. No, it's literally sarcastic. Like, you just know it doesn't matter, so you're having fun with it. And all of a sudden to be like, top 15 team and to be expected to be good for a third straight year, it's nonsense. And Tom Allen is just kind of, he's real life Ted Lasso, man. He is just, there's not a lot of genuine guys. There are not a lot of genuine coaches, and you guys know that as well as me, that just really mean it. And that guy lives and breathes what he preaches. He actually loves his life. He's a fascinating guy. It's a fun time to be an IU alum.
Y'all got to protect that man. He's getting injured in every celebration, dude.
I know, right? But you know what? That's part of the charm,
That is part of the charm.
If he breaks his leg celebrating, he's getting a 5-star the next day. It's worth it.
Brody, great write-up, great work as always, and thank you for your time, man.
I appreciate it as always, guys. Take care.
See you. There's Brody Miller. I just love the fact that Tom Allen makes more money than Jim Harbaugh now. I mean, how about the fact that Indiana's head football coach is making more than Michigan's, who is Jim Harbaugh? $4.9 million per.
I wonder what his health insurance was, because this man is out there just taking a beating after every dub.
That's where the money goes.
Hey, man, he expects he deserves every dollar.
For sure. What a turnaround in Indiana.
What a turnaround.
And I don't think he wants to leave there.
Why would you?
Yeah, he loves that.
Why
like
would
that
you?
feel.
Making $5 million a year? to coach Indiana football?
Ted Lasso's the perfect comp.
It is a great comp.
That's funny.
All right, we are late on Ben Mintz. We will get to him next. Remember, Daily, we are brought to you here by Falaya Real Estate. Get in touch with Barrett Blondo. Our friend over there is changing the game in which you can sell real estate. If you are into do it yourself, if you are trying to for sale by owner, then you can get in touch with Falaya. Barrett Blondo is putting together plans that start at $399. You can call him at 939-6153. It's a 225 area code, 939-6153. If you like doing things yourself, if you want to save some money and some cash, then you got to check out Falaya Real Estate. It's do-it-yourself for selling your house. For more information, visit Falaya.com or download the app or Google Play app on Google Play or the Apple App Store today. Falaya Real Estate. Ben Mintz next from Barstool up in New York. Are you self-employed? Then you need to learn about Angel Oak's Home Loans Bank Statement program that they're offering, which makes you eligible as a self-employed borrower to purchase or refinance a home without requiring a tax return. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Email me, Jordy at jordyculotta.com to learn about the bank statement loan program offered by Angel Oak. Jordy at jordyculotta.com to learn more. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Abear over at Abear's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022. 225-485-8022 is where you can find Abear's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in LaPlace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet. Good stuff from Brody Miller, talking some LSU football, the expectations for Arik Gilbert, how good Stingley and Ricks are, how good can they be coming back for another season Here, that was a good point, that LSU has been kind of a staircase of All-American defensive backs. When you're looking that way, there's another one that's showing up and getting all the attention,
everyone's
man.
better than the next.
I mean, back to Greedy Williams, Christian Fulton, Derek Stingley, Eli Ricks. It is. Yeah. And you're like, damn, he's good too, man.
Dudes on both sides.
That's right. Benny Mintz feeling good about his Ole Miss Rebels going into the offseason with the lane train moving down the tracks. SEC baseball tournament last night. My man is single-handedly bringing attention to the game from Barstool Sports in the seat that he sits up there in New York City. It is always great to check in with one of our own who was just down here in Louisiana last week for a sad story. I know it was not for good news, but it was good to have him back in the state. Benjamin Mintz, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's man, it's been, I mean, even by my stand, I feel like every day up here in New York with Barstool's a roller coaster. But this week, I mean, it's been pretty much, I'll just say batshit crazy this week. It's been insane up here. I don't know if y'all been following all the stuff with Dave Portnoy and me this week, but it's, man, it's wild.
Bayou Ben,
baby. I was going to ask about Bayou Ben. Where did that come from?
Dave just said it. I mean, I got to roll it. Like I said before, I've been called many worse names by boss.
For sure.
But it's just been a crazy week here. We've got this huge trivia tournament going on with Barstool and my team's the Big Screen and Honkers. We're in the championship. Yeah, we're in the championship tonight, taking on the Misfits.
Were you DQ'd, bro? Were you DQ'd?
What's up?
Were you DQ'd?
One question I whispered, and I wasn't allowed to whisper. So we got DQ'd one question, but I mean,
when is the last
which
time?
Which is ironic because I mean, when have I ever whispered ever in life?
Bro. I mean, when have you ever gone mute?
No, I still don't believe it either. But it's the Honkers thing. I mean, I can't believe how big the dozen is. We're getting over 100,000 views on these trivia matchups. I mean, But it's been a wild week. I was in Dave's crosshairs a little bit, and then kind of was on the rundown. The rundown 2 days ago, like the Barstool rundown is one of the biggest things here. And I remember my first day, I got tossed on it with Dave and Big Cat. I crushed it, and then they just threw me on with Dave, Big Cat, and KFC, the old school,
OG rundown crew.
Yeah, OG rundown, all about Bayou Ben or turning the old. I mean, it was just. I mean, and Dave was like all over me, and then I like handled it good, and made some good points and talked about Hawks to the cause next week, and it was like you could just. I mean, my read is you could tell he likes me, and I feel. And he was saying the thing too that's crazy. He was bringing it up like I guess they're still figuring out how to use me, but I mean, it sounded like. I feel like there's a chance I'm back in the South soon. I mean, the way it sounded to me, the way he was talking. So,
for good?
Man, who the hell knows? Every day is a new roller coaster, but I'm enjoying it.
For good?
I mean, I don't know. The way he was talking, he was just like, you could tell how much I'm well-liked in the South. Mm. And I've said this before with Barstool. Like, man, we're so big in New York, Philly, Boston, Chicago. I mean, I'm not here to help with that. They want me to grow the South. So, I mean, I'm not sure. I'm just speculating here on here about this right now. But the Bayou Ben thing, the news of the Penn Gaming stuff that the app's going through, which is obviously a huge thing for Barstool. So I have no idea what the future holds. But I mean, I moved 4 times last year, so it ain't nothing to do with me.
If I give you the pick of the Southeastern Conference, any city, the footprint, you go in New Orleans or you go in the field, anywhere else?
Man, you know the answer. I mean, I'd say New Orleans. I mean, I feel like my story, when I left New Orleans in 2014, when I was definitely not doing as well as I'm doing now, I kind of always thought in my head that at some point I would get back there for a little redemption, the whole story. But I really just am merely speculating right now. I don't know what to think. I mean, I might be in New York next year. I mean, I'm just lucky to work for this company. It's just been such a crazy week. Look, I have thick skin, and I know who I am, but with Dave Portnoy and his 2.5 million or whatever Twitter, when they're coming after you, man, it's intense, man. It's strong life. It's a lot different than being unemployed in Oxford, Mississippi, playing online.
That's a big army. That's a big army.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it's.
What did you think
Good.
What did you think about the game last night, Ole Miss Vanderbilt?
man, I stayed up I'm surprised to have the energy I do popping out of bed right now because I was up till it ended at 1:50 Eastern, but even a defeat for Ole Miss, that game last night was epic. Tim Elko hit 2 homers on a torn ACL.
This guy, bro.
I've never seen anything like it, and I thought Ole Miss was going to hit 2 homers and 4 RBIs, and Ole Miss was up 4-3 going to the bottom of the ninth. He almost beat Vandy by himself, and Vandy got 2 in the bottom of the ninth to win 5-4. But it was a thrilling game between 2 really good teams. Ole Miss has stepped it up a ton the last few weeks, and going to be hosting a regional, and I'm excited. And you know what? I'm going to go glass half full. I don't like – this is a hot take. SEC tournament needs to be single elimination. Why are they allowing these teams to play 6 games and gas out the pitching staff before the NCAA tournament? So I don't necessarily think it's the worst thing that Ole Miss lost in a way.
What's the mood on Bianco from the Ole Miss faithful?
Well, so a few weeks ago when Ole Miss blew the Texas A&M series, the first time I've gotten into it with people on our Ole Miss fans was when I went to bat for Bianco after we blew the series. Because, what I said about it, and this is just a realistic fan thing, but, we're not LSU with 6 national championships and that kind of program expectation. Before Bianco, we were barely getting 500 people a game.
Sure.
In 2000. And so I have, as long as he continues to recruit at a high level, and Ole Miss is a top 10, top 15, top 20 program year in, year out, I don't see how you can, say too much. I think that's an incredible job. And in the SEC West, it's the toughest league. And so, I've got his back huge. And since that A&M blowing that series and the news that Ole Miss lost to Ace Gunnar Hogland to torn UCL for the year to Tommy John, they won 2 out of 3 against Vandy, 2 out of 3 against Georgia, won a game in the SEC tourney, locked up a regional. So I think he's done a phenomenal coaching job. When you think he lost the top 15 pick in Hogland, Tim Elko, our senior captain's running around on 1 ACL, and Ole Miss lost one of their top relievers before the year and are still going to host the regional. I'm a glass half full guy. That seems like a good coaching job to me.
Pivoting back to football here, or college football, to be more specific. As you know, LSU or Louisiana has passed mobile gambling, and it should be here in time for the fall. They set the early number out on LSU as 8.5 wins. What's your read on that?
I think it's about right. I think this West is pretty wide open this year. There's just so much transition going on. It's hard to know what Auburn's going to be like at all. I think Ole Miss and State are both improving. For sure, but I still think State's a little bit away. A&M lost a ton off last year's team. I think 8.5 is about the right. I think LSU 9-3 feels about right. The whole thing is just hard to know on the court. I think the coordinators both have a lot of upsides that are just unproven, and so that's hard to know. That's obviously going to be a big thing. But I think LSU should be good this year. I have faith, and they've got a lot of talent all over the field. And I know I brought this up with Jordy before, but there's nowhere to go but up from Bo Pelini. He was in the wrong decade last year, and so I'm not sure what Daronte Jones is going to end up being like. But coming from Mike Zimmer's background, he can't be worse. You got to think he's
right. That's exactly right. It's a great way to put it. Benny, tell the crew down here in South Louisiana what's going on next week with Hogs for the calls.
Oh man, so I'm flying to New Orleans next Thursday. Do something cool. Check out the World War II Museum. Going to do a Twisted History podcast large. It'll be a lot of fun. That National War II Museum in New Orleans is fantastic. If you've never checked it out, Hogs for the calls starts Friday. Man, still can get 2-day GA tickets online and Friday tickets that sold out of the 1-day Saturday. Getting ready to judge some barbecue. I've done a lot of talking, obviously, but I've never done like the MC thing in front of 5,000 or 10,000 people before. So this is going to be interesting. But can't wait. World-class band lineup, great food. It's going to be the New Orleans comeback party from COVID, and you're raising money, for an unbelievable cause. Families fighting pediatric brain cancer. And so, come join us at Hogs for the cause on next Friday night and Saturday. I can't even tell y'all how excited I am about it. Bayou Ben coming back,
The debut of Bayou Ben. Look out, man. We got to get the merchandise moving.
We're coming out with college baseball. We're going to launch some college baseball shirts that I'm excited about with the NCAA tournament bracket announcement on Monday that I think could be fun. And then I'm going to Omaha for sure, too, so I'm excited about that. it's never ending up here. It's awesome, man. It's cool. I'm very lucky to be a part of it.
Is Barstool backing you with this Hogs for the Cause? You're all going to do like some standalone content that's going to be put out?
Yeah, well, we're going to do, like, I'm still learning. You know, it's kind of, they give you freedom. I'm still learning. We're going to do, Playboy Marty's bringing a really good camera down, and we're going to do like a behind-the-scenes, like, video log thing that you see a lot of Barstool people do on trips. And then we're going to be doing all kinds of stuff. I mean, video of me tasting food and talking about the crazy dishes. I'm sure there'll be videos of me announcing all the stuff. And, I mean, yeah. And then, one other thing I want to mention, one of the coolest things about Hogs is that they smoke the meats all night, and people party out in the field and have DJs and all kinds of stuff out in that field after midnight on Friday. And we're gonna be out there doing Barstool content with that too. I mean, after midnight in New Orleans.
Sounds like it can get so weird.
So much momentum this week, guys. So much momentum this week. I mean, it's surreal.
Proud of you as always, bro. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's the best one yet.
Ben Mintz checking in from Barstool this morning.
I love how he just yawns in the middle of it, too. When he's talking about
After he just said, I got so much energy this morning.
just a huge yawn.
RMB Builders, rmb-builders.com. Remember, get in touch with Rhett and his crew, man. I am looking forward to working with Rhett as he is over here, getting his measurements, helping me out with the reconstruction over at the house after the flood. He can help you out as well. rmb-builders.com. Call Rhett and the crew. He has totally reformed Katie's house. He is now in the midst of doing that to my house.
He didn't know what he was getting into when he met us.
He did not.
He's like, can I please go somewhere else?
Not to abuse you guys.
It was great. Yes. We will, RMB Builders, rmb-builders.com. Rhett and the crew, as they can custom build you a home. They can obviously commercially help you as well. They have a commercial license, so anything around the office or complex, they can help you get right. rmb-builders.com. We'll be back and finish out the Jordy Culotta Show presented by Go Chevrolet. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Abear over at Abear's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022. 225-485-8022 is where you can find Abear's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Are you self-employed? Then you need to learn about Angel Oak's Home Loans Bank Statement program that they're offering, which makes you eligible as a self-employed borrower to purchase or refinance a home without requiring a tax return. If you want to learn more, get in touch with me. Email me, Jordy at jordyculotta.show.com, to learn about the bank statement loan program offered by Angel Oak. Jordy at jordyculotta.show.com to learn more. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in Laplace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. All right, J-Lo and Ben getting aggressive, starting to get out into the public. No holds back, man. Seems like they've been dating for a while now.
It's really weird.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's escalated really quickly.
And the A-Rod story.
Great timing on that mint, Katie.
And the A-Rod story is not going in a good direction for Alex. Seems like there may be a hiccup with the sale of the Minnesota Timberwolves, and he could be back outside looking in. That could have been the problem.
The makeup line.
Over the last 48 hours, there's been some type of pushback from a minority stake owner with the Minnesota Timberwolves saying that the right protocols and procedures were not followed to getting to the sales table. So the sale may be null and void for A-Rod and his group right now.
But he didn't have anything to do with that directly, right?
He did not. It would be on the other side, but we know how intent he is on being somewhere in the spotlight, somewhere in ownership. If I even have to move to Minnesota to buy their basketball team, I will do it. For God's sakes, just give me a team. And it looks like this could be falling apart at the doorstep on the heels of his ex jet-setting around the world with her ex in the
they
public.
Don't want to hide anymore.
Poor guy.
I mean, you weren't hiding at all.
Hiding, J-Lo?
No, I mean, it's bizarre. I mean, it really is. But also, like, the wake that she leaves behind, we're seeing this with A-Rod, right? I mean, we've seen it with other guys in the past, but, like, this guy, he's just falling apart. He's doing weird things.
It's like leaving a tornado.
I mean, look what happened to Ben after they...
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Next thing is a
beach.
back tag.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to know, like, what is it that she does?
I know what she does. I've got a feeling, and you'll never get it again.
Well, we saw her on
I bet I can figure it out. I bet I can figure it out.
How much time does A-Rod spend in the bathroom if he's coming out with he already has his own makeup line? That man must be in there he takes longer than...
Can you imagine?
No, because I'm trying to go somewhere, and if you're like, A-Rod, can we get going here for a second? Jesus. I mean, you look fine.
I know.
He looks
Uber's 3 minutes away.
He looks like porcelain.
He does.
I mean, he doesn't
look
look
good. Is it makeup this whole time? Like, I just thought he had great skin and took care of himself, and now I'm like, wait, is he been wearing makeup this entire time?
Oh, I mean, yeah, he's caked up.
I mean,
totally.
Some insider will tell you. Go ask Derek Jeter. I'm sure he'll let you know.
I'm sure they dogged him, dude.
I'm sure he was just a locker room pinata.
Yes.
I mean, just... Come take your shots at the $100 million third baseman.
And then
you want to go at his makeup or his relationships? Where are we going to start?
And then if you're A-Rod's like, look at my bank account, dude. I'm not worried about y'all.
That's true, I guess.
But,
I'm sorry, what does your checking say?
Dude, I bet his pillow when he wakes up in the morning is just caked.
Oh my
God.
like a spray tan.
Yeah, prom.
Like a girl gets spray tan. He probably gets spray tans too.
Without a doubt. And
like
he's
an
already
outline of
pissed.
him in the bed.
Oh my God, that's probably what got him in trouble. She went over to J-Lo went over to another girl's house and saw the tan marks all in the bed.
That's how he got caught.
Brian Truard asked, can A-Rod grow facial hair? He looks like he cannot.
It does look like he cannot.
No.
I mean, it does not
All
look
he
like
uses testosterone.
he cannot grow facial hair
Would it
at all.
help him?
There's no hair.
He's such a defined. He doesn't need it though. It's so
No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're asking like the viability. Can he even do it?
I don't think so. But
you don't
I don't
see
think he
hair
needs
on
to.
him at all.
Yeah. There's no hair on that man below his eyebrows.
He might have lasered everything off for all we know.
Possibly.
He probably did.
Possibly.
Would you laser your beards?
No.
No, he needs his. He looks great with a beard. I can't grow one.
I just wonder, like, okay, so would you laser, like, any of this? Like, if you were like, I'm so tired of, like, having patchiness. Not that you do.
Yeah, no, I'm patchy as hell.
Would you just laser it to be done?
Yeah,
because
if it's not going to come in, then I would have to. I just end up trimming it every like third day. So yeah, I would take that out. Like some
you
women.
Have facial hair, Noah? No.
There's never been a photo of A-Rod with facial hair.
Yeah.
You want it? Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
If I could grow a beard, I don't know if I would because I'm so determined on this mustache. I've been doing that for like 10 years now.
Your mustache game is
strong.
Next level.
It doesn't connect in the middle.
It's very French. It's very European.
You're right. It is very. You're very
French.
European.
It is very European. Which
she said, I don't like.
I still think that the split is good.
It's good. Yeah,
yes.
no, you make it. I make it
it's
work.
kind of
Wait, isn't
artist.
that normal to have a split? Do you not have a split?
No, it's supposed to go all the way
Look
across.
over here. You have no split.
No, I
It's
mean I don't
just
have any
pure hair.
break.
Yeah, I mean,
Really,
you didn't have a break here.
I shaved yesterday morning. All right, so this win total for LSU, Ben and Jen are they're in the public, and A-Rod looks like he's reeling. So I mean that is the
weird thing
update.
is the reason that Ben and Jen broke up before was because they were in the public eye so much, and
Get
they
outta
could
here.
not. Yes,
Get
they
outta
they
here.
couldn't handle the
Get
tabloids
outta
and the
here.
spotlight. And
So you're
yet,
telling me that movie stars are bitching about the spotlight?
absolutely all
Get
the
out
time.
of here,
They
Ben
do it all
Affleck
the
and Jennifer
time.
Lopez.
That
Then
was
go
the
hide.
reasoning behind their
Go
breakup.
buy an island and get away from everybody if you want your
You
privacy.
That's
can't
the
get
move.
away. You can't get away.
They don't
want
want to get away.
No, they don't.
They don't want to get away. So
Absolutely
save that
not.
crap.
But
We
that's
want to
why
be
they
out of the
first broke
spotlight.
up,
Oh,
is
do
all
you?
I'm saying.
Well,
It's
you seem to be in
ironic.
it quite a bit.
You want to get out of the spotlight? Quit going to public beaches then.
Yeah, making out with each other.
All right, so this win total starting to get a lot of buzz for LSU as the latest came out for SEC schools, and LSU's sitting at 8.5. We have talked to a couple of people here this morning. We talked to Brody Miller earlier, and then we talked to Ben Mintz. Both feel very comfortable sitting at 9-3, and I really do feel like that is the comfort spot of this LSU team with the way that they are built and going into the season right now. I mean, if we just run down the schedule, right, and we just want to play W or L here, wins or losses, going down the schedule. We know that the point spread has already been made for the LSU opener versus UCLA. They are 3-point favorites versus the Bruins out in Pasadena. When you look at LSU and UCLA's program side by side right now, present day, LSU feels like they're a couple of clicks better than UCLA. I think they go out there and they win that game. I don't think that that's too much to ask of a team constructed like LSU is, with the expectation that they have as a 3-point favorite going out to Los Angeles in a opening game of a season and winning there. I don't think that would be a major upset. I don't think that would be a huge storyline by college football standards. I think LSU's the favorite. I think they win there. I don't think that's saying.
I think it would be. I think it would be an upset if UCLA won, and more than a 3-point upset. I think it's like I expect to win by at least 10 points.
I agree. McNeese, you're giving them money to come over here, so you're going to beat them.
Hey, watch out, dude. Troy will let you know they love that payday.
Central Michigan in week 3. This is going to be an interesting game. Just from Central Michigan and the reputation that they have, they're not going to be intimidated by LSU. But, you know, this is one of those games that LSU is supposed to win. You figure that if they are prepared right and they are healthy, they should win the game. So you're 3-0 here going into a September 25th matchup to Mississippi State at Starkville.
Cowbells will be ringing.
It'll be loud.
They
It'll be
will.
full capacity. It'll also be revenge for LSU.
Yeah.
It'll also be a game for LSU that they have had circled for a while after last season's opener, and just the taste in the mouth that has left the LSU football program on, you know, the initial launch point of the defense of a national championship. Not that Mississippi State did anything disrespectful for LSU other than kick their ass
Expose us.
on that Saturday afternoon.
I
622
hosted
passing
a
yards.
tailgate party for that, and on the invitation I wrote, "Come watch the Tigers beat my dogs." Like,
What a troll
The
job.
power of
no, I
Katie's
mean-
words.
Yes.
You're an all-time troll.
but I mean, I was expecting
great,
a
I
loss.
know.
I mean,
I know,
you
but
know,
it just worked out great for
How
you.
amazing was it to
It
watch
did.
that?
I mean, it was kind of amazing, but my ex-husband and I were the only Mississippi State people there, so it was
brutal.
super awkward towards the end of the game.
Yeah.
And we rang a cowbell, and the stare. I should have videoed everyone
Score
staring
check?
us while we were doing it. I mean, people left like immediately.
For sure.
Cleared out.
Auburn week 4, so I got to beat Mississippi State.
What do you think the vibe is for Mike Leach at Mississippi State? They're cool with it? I mean, he's not going to
I don't know.
do
Ask her.
anything, I mean, in particularly great. I don't think he's a national champion winning coach,
No,
but
I mean,
think he makes
he's
it
just
fun.
weird and quirky and
Yeah.
super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it didn't really pan out last year.
That's what I'm saying.
So I don't
Started
know.
hot.
But last year was a weird year for everybody, so I kind of like want to skip over.
Got to
last
give him
year,
a minute
but
to get his guys.
You do have to
Yeah.
give him.
Let him,
Aaron.
let him get his roster.
You
Let
do
him
have
get
to
his
give him a
quarterback.
minute.
See what happens. I got him 4-0 going into October. So the month of September, I got him sweeping. I got him beating UCLA. I got him beating McNeese. I got him winning at home versus Central Michigan. And then I got him going to Starkville and beating Mississippi State. I think they go into Auburn in
Auburn
week
comes
5.
here.
I'm sorry. Auburn is in Baton Rouge in week 5. I think they take care of Auburn in a turnover season with Harsin there and really trying to find his footing on personnel. I think LSU is favored in this game, and I think they win this game. If you're looking for a trap game on LSU's schedule,
Kentucky.
if you're looking for a game that
the
you look
sandwich
at
spot.
from just a 30,000 square foot view, if you're looking, you know, kind of overhead at LSU's schedule, to me, the Kentucky game jumps out as one that looks like it could be a trap. Just because, A, Kentucky's program is very good now. Stoops has done a really nice job of bringing in players, bringing in interest. They've got the facilities, and, you know, they have beaten. Ask Dan Mullen in Florida. Ask.
They can get you.
They can get you. They can absolutely get you. If you don't look, if you don't prepare and you overlook, and from LSU's standpoint, They are playing Kentucky on October 9th, is right in between the October 2nd Auburn game at home and and being back home October 16th versus Florida. So when you look at the 3 weeks of October 2nd, 9th, and 16th, you've got Auburn, Kentucky, and Florida.
Gauntlet.
Which game doesn't make sense? Which one kind of doesn't fit in? The Kentucky game, right? Which one looks like the one that LSU could overlook? They can't do that there. They can't get caught slipping versus the Wildcats and give one up that could potentially bite them at the back end. Because
Does LSU play Kentucky every other
no.
year?
I don't think have they
is-
played Stoops yet?
I believe Stoops came in here with Jamal when Trey White returned that punt. And Jamal Adams sprung him on that
The double block.
the double block. I think that was Stoops
His
maybe
first year?
early first or
'Cause
second
he's got it
year.
figured out now. He's a legitimate coach.
Yeah,
He
he's been
is.
there since 2012.
Okay, so yeah, they
Yeah.
played him.
Dude, you're so right. Looking at the schedule, just feeling what I feel when I think about LSU football, and you're telling me if LSU beats Auburn, you have Kentucky, you go to Kentucky, but that's such a look-ahead spot because Tiger Stadium, if you're looking ahead to Florida, you're thinking night game, undefeated, rocking. It's like all we have to do is beat Kentucky to get there, and that's absolutely a game that LSU has lost in the past. Of like, it kind of takes away the fandom moment. We're like, damn it, dude, if we just would go in here undefeated against Florida, it would be one of those all-time like Tiger Stadium moments. And a Kentucky trip up is definitely something that could be in the works. I hate that.
I feel like they get the win. I feel
Close.
like they should win the game.
It's gonna be close.
Every W I have put down on this schedule, I have written with confidence. The W next to the Kentucky game is shaky.
The question.
It's a little wobbly.
That's crazy.
It's a wobbly
The
W.
left-handed W.
It's a wobbly W. Then you get home to Florida, and this is a swing game for LSU.
It's a season maker.
This is
They're here.
This is a swing game for LSU in Tiger Stadium on October 16th with Florida here. Dan Mullen, new quarterback, and Emory Jones returning some guys on defense. This is a game that could go either way. Let's just say, for the sake of the argument, we give them an L here. This is their first loss of the season, so we've got them sitting right now at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-1 after October 16th. Right? So in the month of October, you've got Ole Miss left at Ole Miss on October 23rd. I don't
That's
ever
my
think
birthday.
that happy early.
It's the last place
Birthday.
I want to be on my birthday.
25?
I'm
you do?
turning 25.
25.
Yes, Jordy.
Yeah, eternally.
Thank you for
25.
remembering.
I thought it was 25. I didn't know if it was 26 or 25. It's one of the
Sticking with
younger
25.
number. I don't think that Ole Miss will ever sneak up on LSU because of the relationship that Lane Kiffin and Ed Ogeron has. Ed Ogeron looks at Lane Kiffin as not a not kind of an understudy, but somebody that he is older than in the coaching game and is his peer, and is somebody that he wants to make sure he doesn't lose to. Not only is it Lane Kiffin, but it's Ole Miss. Ole Miss is always going to have Ed Ogeron's attention because growing up when Ed Ogeron was first an LSU football fan, that was the rivalry. But then later on in life, he became Ole Miss's head coach. He is still very bitter by the way that thing ended there and during some of the days there. So anytime he can go competitively against Ole Miss, I think that they will always have Ogeron, LSU, and the program's attention. So by that standard and by that being said, I think they win in Oxford on October 23rd to make them 7-1
My God, I hope so.
going into the Alabama game, going into a bye week.
Yes, which is in Alabama. Which makes me ask the question: is Ole Miss is Ed Orgeron's Ole Miss what Nick Saban's is to LSU? Like he circles that game regardless of how good they are,
Yes.
just to be like it's always a little something like.
I think there's two different feelings on the motivation, but I think ultimately it's the same, it's the same stratosphere in which you're talking about, right? I think Saban looks at LSU and looks at the state of Louisiana as just such a jewel of recruiting and just of such a job that it's not necessarily easy, but there's a lot of built-in advantages if you can be the LSU head football coach and you can figure it out. And as Alabama's head coach, he finds great pride and great entertainment in messing with that, right? In trying to knock that around for LSU. And I think the early poison and vitriol that he heard and felt, his family felt in coming back here, may have affected him a little bit in the way that he feels around about the state, but he will always remember his time at LSU. I mean, the stories are too they're too prevalent of Skip will tell you of Saban calling back home in 2004 and 2005 and 2006 saying, "Get me my job back. I want to come home. I want to be back at LSU," because he knew the giant that he could build here. He knew the built-in advantages that he had here. But being Alabama's head coach, he understands if you can keep LSU distracted, the Alabama job is going to be a lot easier. From Ole Miss's standpoint, and Ed Orgeron wants to go kick Ole Miss's teeth in because of the way they treated him. He didn't like the Hummer commercial. He didn't like them all impersonating him. They don't like them all thinking of him as some dumb Louisiana Cajun. And that's what he really felt Ole Miss thought of him as, and that what Ole Miss treated him like. So when he can take LSU's football team back to Ole Miss or square up with Ole Miss in Tiger Stadium, he's trying to beat the hell out of them. He wants to kick their teeth in. And I think that's the motivation for both sides. So, yes, I mean, there is very much individual motivation for both coaches on each teams. I think that the fuel is just poured in over different motivation.
Because I would imagine if you're at LSU and you didn't know, like the history of Ed Orgeron and Ole Miss, and you were in the building, you're like, why does this game week feel so different? Because I'd imagine there's an extra pep in his step for that game when it really shouldn't, it shouldn't be there in terms of. It shouldn't
be there because it wasn't a big deal when he coached there. They all drove around with O stickers on the back of their car all over Mississippi, and it turned out to be just a terrible blip. So why do even people
Coach
even
Ho seems like an all-time spite guy, though. Like, he probably holds a grudge longer than anybody. So I'm sure, that's. I mean, if you're an LSU fan, you have to, I'm sure people on the outside, don't really know this, but when you look at Ole Miss, you're like, we got their number because our coach is pissed. He wants that win more than anything, and then you go into bye-week Alabama, so that could be a great, all right, let's keep this intensity rolling, boys.
If there's any coach that can play against that energy, it is Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin can have his building loose. He can have his team loose, where when you're trying to motivate to, out of spite, that can keep you tight. You know what I mean? That can kind of keep you wound up. And a team going against a loose, cool-headed, hey, look, they may be better in certain spots, but we got the better scheme type mentality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll run on side, kick the first play of the game.
Nothing to lose. Thrower into the
so I've got them winning that game. I think that their roster is just significantly better in certain spots, like the defensive line that Ole Miss is just not going to be able to counteract with. Now, 2 years from now, a year from now, this game and this gap is starting to close as far as the talent level goes. I have them beating Ole Miss in 2021, which sets them up at 7-1, leaving the month of October. I've got them losing one game in the month of October, and that is versus Florida on October 16th. But Auburn, Kentucky, Ole Miss winning the month of October and going now with a schedule of 7-1, a win-loss record of 7-1 heading into the month of November. You travel to Tuscaloosa on November 6th. I don't think that the roster from an offensive line standpoint is where I don't have the trust of putting a W next to LSU's name in this matchup just yet. I don't know if they can block Alabama up front. I really don't. I think if you look at the skill levels around the field, they're comparable. When you even look at the quarterbacks, Bryce Young by that time will be well developed and well,
probably be the story of college football, I'd imagine, at that point with the way they're talking about him.
Could be.
Mm-hmm. Will the dynasty ever end? Blah, blah, blah.
But look out for Max Johnson. Look out for storylines like that. You know what I mean? Max Johnson's for real. Max Johnson is legit.
I think it's going to be a dogfight. I'm buying a ticket to this. I'm going to drive to Tuscaloosa.
For sure. I mean, it's must-watch television. It's must-watch college football.
Have you ever been there? Oh, you went last year, 2 years ago, didn't you?
Yeah, but I didn't step in the Forsaken hellhole. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go into Bryant Denny.
Wait, you went to Tuscaloosa but didn't go to the game in 19?
What'd you do?
I went to the bars and drank and talked my talk.
Well, I mean, you were a freshman then?
Sophomore.
What a great trip.
Yeah.
What a great trip.
You just did the Kevin Durant. I'm a log on, talk my shit, and log out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was there. I was there.
You saw me.
I've got them losing to Alabama this season. I just think that man-on-man, roster-on-roster, Alabama still has a better roster than LSU. Not by much. Not by much. But I still think that and to go back to a point that we were just talking about with Saban, I think that 2 years ago reinvigorated some of the motivation that Saban has towards LSU.
Poke the bear.
Yeah, you poke the bear a little bit. And LSU has experienced some success on the recruiting trail, which, gets into Saban a little bit.
Do y'all normally go to that game, Alabama game, at Alabama?
I went to the non-6 game. And then I went the next 2 years after that, and then just the last two weren't that much fun. But J.C. Copeland down the sidelines almost scores, and then we fumble like the next play.
J.C. Copeland,
yeah.
J.C. Copeland fumbled.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what you get with Les Miles when you got Jeremy Hill sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah, J.C. Copeland in
He was a
the Maryland
pick
Eye
for the Cincinnati Bengals. And you keep the fullback in that hadn't played the last 3 weeks and give him the ball on the goal line.
Yep, shuffle, fumble, and that was
Landon
the turning,
Collins almost scooped and scored it.
Yeah,
from like 95 out.
But do y'all hate being in that stadium? I hate being
I stole one of those things from like a 4-year-old kid and spiked it right in his face.
They are all.
I did. I showed my ass.
They are all so mad.
They are.
The Alabama people, for as much success and as much joy as you would think they would experience. They just seem
they're stressed.
They're just pissed and mad. And
they fight at every – I mean, Starkville's 45 minutes from Tuscaloosa. So that was a rivalry for some reason, like the Highway 12 rivalry. And the fights at that game are the best thing ever. I mean, they'll beat the crap out of us, but they are fighting people in the stands. It's amazing.
Some of the troll jobs that T-Bob Hebert has pulled on the Alabama football fan base
what an easy target
is some of the just all-time. I mean, we would kick our feet up on the desk, open up the computer, just sit back and be like, holy shit,
it's working.
Look at these crazy sons of bitches, man. I mean, you feel so sorry for them. I mean, you're winning.
Corn dog.
You are winning.
That's the weird thing.
Yeah, the corn dog's so weird, bro.
Y'all get so mad about that. It's amazing.
I don't even get mad about it. I just don't get it.
I really don't get mad
so mad about it. People get so mad.
I think we've embraced it.
Yeah, right.
I don't know how you do, but we have.
I mean, okay, cool.
Where's Katy Perry now? LSU football is still thriving.
So at Alabama is a loss, 7-2. So now you're at 7-2 after November 6th. November 13th, Arkansas. This is going to be an interesting game every year now with Sam Pittman. I'm just telling you. Pittman's legit. I mean,
it always has been an interesting game.
It always has been, but, I mean, it was quirky. It was weird. Yeah. You know what I mean? Arkansas had to do something weird to win the game. This is just going to be a man-on-man. This is going to be a football game now. I mean, this is Sam Pittman. To me, Arkansas was trying to recreate the Orgeron appeal. Like, they looked at the LSU model, in my opinion, and said, hey, go get a guy that not necessarily has been a coordinator. You know, I mean, Sam Pittman was an offensive line coach at Georgia, but what he was known for and is known for, and if you read up on Arkansas, if you keep up on it, and I don't expect you to, but just some of the things that are in the media in the offseason, Pittman seems like he is a fantastic relationship builder and somebody who has created a buzz around Arkansas, and it looks like they have found the right guy. It looks like they have found the model that really works in Fayetteville, because you got to think outside the box. There's no players in Arkansas. Darren McFadden comes once every 25 years in Arkansas, right? I mean, outside of that, there's probably 6 or 7 guys every year that Arkansas is really targeting within the state. Outside, I mean, there's just not a very fertile recruiting ground to choose from.
Where do they have to go?
Texas, North Louisiana. I mean, you can make a lot if you can go set up shop at Neville, West Monroe, Captain. You know, some of those Shreveport schools up there that have put in defensive backs, wide receivers every single year, and you start forming relationships at that school. You know, you might be in on a Will Campbell down the line. You know, I mean, if you've got good relationships built in, offensive line coach guy, a guy that's got good BS, a guy that really understands how to deal with players and relationship build.
I think it's such a good hire because they needed some energy, like just a shot in the arm a little bit. Because Arkansas, and this might be a hot take, could be a sleeping giant just because of all the money that they have in that, like kind of. I mean, not in the state, but they do. Money. They got Walmart money, Tyson Chicken, Jerry Jones. Like they have money, and if they can get like just some positive energy around the place and kind of pop for 1 second, they might get. Everything starts rolling at that point.
They have enough money to do anything you want.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like, they've got Texas A&M type money.
And they're just not doing anything.
Tyson Chicken, Walmart, Jerry Jones, they can tap into any of those three entities or corporations with one phone call and get to the executive suite level and get a check cut immediately. As far as money goes, money ain't an issue in Fayetteville. That's not the problem. They had to find the right person. They had to find the right guy that could create a buzz and an interest to make Arkansas cool to people outside of the area. I mean, people in Texas, people in Florida, people along the East Coast in Atlanta and Georgia, where he's tapped into. I mean, Pittman's got great relationships over there in Georgia. He's got great relationships in Florida, where he was a primary recruiter for Georgia during his days of the end. He's got this personality that you can't not love him. You really can. I mean, if you watch him talk, if you hear him, if you read his stuff, I mean, there is a great write-up on ESPN.com about tampering in college football right now, where it has become the wild, wild west, the transfer portal. And it's really all about the SEC. It's all written about the SEC, how coaches in the SEC are still utilizing their relationships to get in touch with guys that are on other people's roster that are kind of creating a buzz or, a lifeline of transfer. Right, you've got a coach who was recruiting a wide receiver that ended up at Ole Miss, that's coaching at LSU, and one of his recruiting vines or lines was he was talking to the kid's best friend, who wasn't a football player, or his girlfriend. And a year later, he hears through the grapevine that he may not be happy. He sends the girlfriend a text message. Hey, is your boy still on Ole Miss's roster? Yeah. Is he happy? No. Ask him if he wants to come to LSU. That's kind of what's happening right now. They're just using third-hand parties, and they're getting in touch with people, and they're creating a storyline of almost free agency, which, people were saying was going to happen if you did the first-time transfer. At the end of that article at ESPN.com, all these coaches are quoted within that story. Eli Drinkowitz takes a shot at Will Wade during it.
Ricochet.
I mean, just kind of like
That's the same sport, dude.
Weird stuff. But there's football coaches all along the article that are quoted in saying, it's terrible for the game. I don't know what to do with my guys. I don't know how to protect my roster. I don't know what we're going to do as a coaching staff to keep this stuff out of the way. And then Sam Pittman at the end of it just says, you know what? We looked at this stuff as an internal issue. He said, we've got to create an environment where guys don't want to leave. We have to create an environment where if they want to transfer, we can sit them down and say, look, this is the advantage that we provide. Think it over again before you do put your name into the portal. And then he also goes on to say, look, there's going to be schools. Every school is going to get somebody from the portal, and every school is going to be burned by the portal. That's just what it's going to be. And if you have that mentality of creating an environment of let's just make it the most comfortable for the student athlete, then if you lose one, you lose one. But odds are you're probably going to get one in return. And I just thought it was a great peace of mind. Whether it was BS or not, it's in the public and shows his mentality of how he feels about running his program and about the new age of college football, and I think he gets it. I think Sam Pittman's the right guy for Arkansas to create a buzz and create some interest in Fayetteville, which is probably the most impossible thing to do when you look at the job from just an overall view of you got the facilities, you've got the SEC money, you've got all that you need from a support standpoint. You just don't have players around you, and you don't have a lot of people paying attention to you because you've got so many other options. And I think Pittman can wave the flag and say, hey, look at us. Come over here. We're a good option. So, I say all that to say I think LSU beats them. Yeah, I do say
3 years down the road, maybe different.
But I do believe that he is building a program.
Arkansas is a sleeping giant, dude.
Always
Baseball
has been.
team's good. Basketball team's
Yeah,
basketball's
good.
good.
Facilities, man. I mean, people get up there and they're like, oh, man.
And just because of where it is, it pops.
Mm-hmm. So I got them beating Arkansas. I got them beating ULM. So where are we at now? We're at 8-9.
Yes.
We're at 9. I mean,
And
we're
A&M.
at 9-2 with Texas A&M. in Baton Rouge. I think this is going to be a great football
What's
game
the
to
date
close
of
out
that
the season.
game? A&M.
27th, November
27th.
Didn't
hate when it's
Arkansas
always
used
that
to be
late.
the last game?
Yeah, they
so
moved
when
this.
did that move?
The SEC wanted to create a rivalry game between Texas A&M and LSU,
Right.
so they
They've done
moved it to the last weekend of the year.
Is Arkansas still the boot though?
Yes.
Still that.
Half of the
Yes.
boot.
Battle for the boot.
Arkansas, sneaky all-time weather game in Baton Rouge. That's when like everything starts turning. It's not as hot anymore.
Yeah.
Great day game.
Could be
environment.
rainy.
Yes, you'll always avoid the rain.
Could
but
be
That's when the
rainy.
humidity dies.
Yeah, it turns into like this is what college football is
Oh, the
about.
first
dude. It
three
feels- yeah.
tailgates are tough.
Oh, dude. Phew, Ruddy.
Embrace them, though, bro.
Yeah.
Just embrace them.
A&M.
No shorts, white polo.
I wear pants every time.
Wow, dude. You don't have no confidence in the legs?
I just don't like my. Yeah, maybe so. I mean, they
Yeah.
look fine. I just think pants look. I mean, shorts look
Get
weird.
you a set of Noah thighs,
yeah,
bro.
then I would wear them. Yes,
Exactly.
but
So
I
is
think-
your like hair patchy, like your face
No,
hair?
no,
That's
they're
what it is?
fine. I just don't. I think the aesthetic of shorts, like in a like a public setting, is weird. I think shorts are weird.
Wow.
So
hot.
I'll go pants.
That is hot.
I embrace it.
That is hot.
Run
Embrace
with
it.
Jersey every time.
I get it.
Jersey? Basketball jersey? Football jersey?
Football jersey.
Okay, so
You
that's
do? You
that's
wear a
hotter.
jersey?
That's hot. I mean, I would go a basketball jersey in those early August, early September, late August games because of the heat.
I'm
You
trying
go
to buy a
no sleeves
LSU
underneath?
poncho, like
In that
Mexican
time of the year as a
poncho.
college student,
Yeah.
I absolutely would. At 40, I would never wear a jersey or go sleeveless again.
Same.
But I mean, at 21, I mean, give me a throwback Shaq, white, sleeveless.
And
And I'm all
and
good.
A solo cup.
Are
And
you
somebody's
kidding me,
going
bro?
home.
I mean, maybe we ain't even going to catch the game. What game?
We win.
Yeah, right. Who do we play?
Oh, no.
Is this one at the bar?
They play
Yeah,
Texas.
Auburn.
They play Texas A&M November 27th, and I think it's going to be a great game. I think this is going to be an even pick'em. I think it's going to be a
Same in
pick'em
Florida.
game. I think it's going to come
It's all
down to it.
contingent on their quarterback play.
It all comes down to quarterback play.
Which Jimbo has been known to be able to do. He's very good at getting quarterbacks to play well. Kellen Mond is very interesting to me because what he did when he came into LSU in 2019 was just abysmal. Like, they talk about not having a chance from the gun. Like, that poor Burrow coming out in the jersey.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
senior
bro.
night.
That was the
They-
safest bet of all time.
Dude, they had to be on the side like, we're about to get our
if you were a
kicked.
gambler, you could have put your life savings on
You
that
gotta put your life.
and just not even watch the game.
Yeah.
Like, woke up the next. What was the final?
All I needed to see was that
So when do I get
intro.
my pay?
Burrow to 0.
I wonder how many people saw that and immediately went to their mobile gaming or whatever. Like, I
mean-
got to get this bet in now.
Anybody that was really paying attention probably put it on when the early line came out,
Yeah.
like in
6.5
September
or
You know
whatever,
what I
yeah.
mean? Like, let me put everything I got on that.
Burrow senior night.
Yes. So just for the sake of the argument, let's put an L here and say 9-3, because I think 9-3 is that's the landing spot. I mean, I think that's the comfort level of LSU fans, and the over under set at 8.5 for the Tigers going into the season. Brody Miller, as he described it a couple of minutes ago, and as we've talked about here, that just feels like a very obvious over bet. But usually that is where Vegas gets you, man.
Yep, you get burned.
You know what I mean?
We're going to replay this segment at
Yeah.
the end of this season.
We'll
I
see.
could go
It'll be an
undefeated.
entire
Yeah.
show dedicated to this segment and talking about it. It's going to be awesome.
It
The
could.
We're
thing
gonna
that
go
makes
5-5.
me nervous about it, it could be the tipping point for the season again. If you lose to A&M, then go into a bowl game and lose the bowl game, that's when things start
Hot
to
seat.
ratchet up again.
Hot seat.
Whenever everybody would say, if you go 9-3 but win the last 2 games, it would be a different feeling. It's all about how you finish the season because that's the last thing that people look back on. So,
And we finished strong last year.
oof, yeah, that's a bigger game than it should be. If you lose both games, because then you roll into the bowl with a loss. Lose that, then everybody's like, where's LSU football again?
Yeah.
But if you win both,
Well,
Patty.
this is a stability or hot seat forming season for Ed Orgeron. Like, I mean, this is very much going to dictate what the next 3 to 5 years of his football life look like.
not only his but LSU.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a enormous swing season for LSU football. Are you stable under the direction of Ed Orgeron, or are you on shaky ground going into the future with Ed Orgeron?
This is usually when he thrives, so he likes the
Yes,
pressure.
back up against the wall is where he does his best work.
Yep.
So anticipate a very motivated Ed Orgeron for this season, and LSU. They've got the personnel, they've got the roster, they've got what it takes to be a championship level program in 2021. If you get it from the quarterback spot, if it all makes sense at the quarterback spot, and you can protect him, I think those are the two biggest question marks. Who's going to be the quarterback? I say it's Max Johnson. They say it's a competition. And can you find stable enough offensive line play to make it through a regular season and 3 playoff games, an SEC championship, a semifinal playoff, and a national championship?
And when you have a roster like this, it really, like, all you can do is kind of point to coaching, because you got dogs. So it's just let's see how the new cats come in and what they can do, because that's going to be where the finger's pointed, because everybody knows Derek Stingley can play. Everybody knows Eli Ricks can play. And by all intents and purposes, you have 5 stars everywhere on offense as well. So it very much will be, if this will fall at the feet of the coaching staff if it's not a good year.
That's exactly right. Good stuff for this Thursday. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning. We are eating hot dogs.
We are eating hot dogs
tomorrow morning
from
Frankie's Dog House. A little bit of a summer feel here going into the summer season on the Jordy Culotta Show. We'll get you up with some of the good menu items for the beach from Frankie's Dog House. We will continue our discussion on LSU baseball, what the future may hold for the Tigers. I think they get into the postseason tournament. I think that's popular thought on LSU's baseball's immediate future. And continue to talk about this LSU football and the storylines going into the offseason. It's
getting close.
It is very much becoming good sports talk because of what is on the horizon. And like Jack said earlier in the segment, there is a lot of respect that is starting to be opened up and shown to LSU when people have obviously started to dig in and do some homework and really look at the roster and look at the schedule. Some of the takes from a national standpoint have been interesting to dive into, and we'll continue to do that on the Jordy Culotta Show. We always appreciate your interaction, your support. Make sure you get by our sponsors and support them. We are very grateful to that. Mention that you heard it here on the Jordy Culotta Show. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Go Chevrolet, driving us all the time here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Stop in and see them in LaPlace, Louisiana for brand new cars, or over here in Baton Rouge for the used car lot on Florida and Sherwood Forest. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.